Hi everyone, good morning. So today let's review another book. This book is called Lost Horizon, 消失的地平线. Lost Horizon was written by British novelist James Hilton in 1933. It is the birthplace of the concept of Shangri-La in Western literature and the first Western utopian novel set against a Tibetan highland backdrop. Upon publication, the book caused an immediate sensation. It became not only a bestseller, but the first book to be mass marketed in paperback form in the United States. A publishing milestones helped popularize the paperback format. What's paperback? The fictional Shangri-La quickly became a universally meaningful English word, added to Oxford English Dictionary to mean an ideal paradise far from the clamor of the world. 感觉这个well, it feels like 桃花源, right? The historical context of 1933 is crucial to understanding this novel. The Great Depression was sweeping the Western world. Nazism was rising in Germany. The wounds of World War I had not yet healed, and people were filled with dread of another global catastrophe. The peaceful timelessness represented by Shangri-La was the most urgently needed spiritual refuge of that particular era. Arts or business success or political success, lots of time are related to, the current situation, the background of the whole world. If not because of such specific what situation background, maybe this is still a good book, but may fail to create as big impact as it is now. The cultural impact. In 1942, President Roosevelt named the presidential retreat Shangri-La, later renamed Camp David by as Javier. After the 1942 Dornitor Tokyo raid, when reporters asked where the planes flew from, Roosevelt humorously replied, "From Shangri-La." Yunnan province, Zhongdian County was officially renamed Shangri-La in 2001. Oh, I can imagine this must be a big success for this for this county. And there must be a lot of county compete with Zhongdian, I think. The novel drew inspiration partly from Joseph Rock's National Geographic exploration reports on Yunnan's Tibetan regions. Author James Hilton, born in 1990, died in 1954, was a British novelist born in Lancashire, England, Hilton had a lifelong love of literature and published his first novel at age 21. His works are characterized by warm humanism and a tender regard of traditional British values. I feel I have heard of this one. 冤梦重温. Hilton established his literature reputation with Lost Horizon and Goodbye, Mr. Chips. The former created the eternal world Shangri-La. The latter moved countless readers with a warm story of country school master Mr. Chips. In his later years, Hilton moved to Hollywood and worked as a screenwriter for famous films including Mr. Miniver. Hilton's depiction of the Mystery East were influenced by British explorer Alexander David Near. Writing on Tibet, Joseph Rock's detailed National Geographic reports on Yunnan, Lexi culture, Naxi culture, and his own deep concern for the dialogue between Eastern and Western civilizations. Lost Horizon employs a carefully designed triple removed narrative structure, quite common in Western literature, but less prevalent in Chinese fiction. I agree. You know, I find that a lot of English books I read, they the author try to regard to separate themselves between themselves and the story, right? They will say, okay, I heard from someone. I remember that when I watched read Time Machine by by Swift, right? And it also started a story between a conversation between me and the person who really experienced all those mystery things. That's not very common in Chinese novels. My follow-up question is why? Why is there such narrative structure difference? So the three structure is the narrator I to Rutherford to Conway. And Conway is actually the person who experienced the story of Shangri-La. This triple remove narration adds to the story's mystic and authentic, while preserving narrative distance, keeping the reality of Shangri-La in a perpetually ambiguous state. Readers can neither fully believe or easily dismiss it. Plot summary. Prologue. The frame. The story began at an ordinary British dinner party in the 1930s. The narrator, I, reunites with travel writer Rutherford, who mentions the mysterious disappearance of brilliant diplomat Hugh Conway. Rutherford had briefly encountered the Lassic Conway in a Chongqing mission hospital and obtained a manuscript recording Conway's experience in Shangri-La. The entire narrative is built upon this manuscript. Chapter 1 to 2, The Hijacked Flight. In 1931, amid turmoil in the Northwest, it should give me so like amid turmoil. It's hard to pronounce. It should give me, prophetic symbol. Abbas school in modern Pakistan. The British consulate launched an emergency evacuation. For passengers boarded an aircraft, British consul Hugh Conway, West consul Charles Manison, an American who called himself a businessman, Henry Bernard, and British missionary Miss Gloria Brinklow. However, the aircraft did not fly to the planned destination of Peshawar, but turned northeast, crossing the majestic Himalaya, flying even higher into no man's land. The passengers discovered in alarm that the original pilot had been replaced. The plane was now controlled by an unknown Asian face. The aircraft finally landed in a treacherous plateau. The mystery pilot collapsed and died, leaving no explanation. Chapter 3 to 4. In their bewilderment, a group led by half Chinese, half Tibetan guide Zhang appeared, leading the four to the Shangri-La lamasery in Blue Moon Valley. Shangri-La rested among mountains of extreme altitude, yet enjoyed spring-like conditions year-round due to peculiar geographic and climatic factors with abundant fruits. The interior of lamasery was breathtaking. Scriptures, paintings, sculptures, and musician instruments from around the world was gathered here, with guqin and the piano standing side by side in the same place. Eastern and Western civilizations meeting without conflict. Conway wandered along through the library and felt a mystery sense of belonging welling up with him. The place seemed to exist for him. Chapters 5 to 8. The High Lama and Shangri-La's secrets. Conway was summoned along to three audiences with the aging, dying High Lama. Through these three conversations, the history and the mission of Shangri-La were gradually unveiled. The High Lama narrated Shangri-La's origins. In 1734, a Capuchin friar from Luxembourg, Father Perouet, became lost while crossing the Himalaya and accidentally discovered Blue Moon Valley. The valley possessed some mysterious power that could dramatically slow the aging process. Father Perouet, cited here, established the lamasery and began deliberately gathering precious cultural heritage from around the world, books, artwork, music, and wisdom from various civilization traditions. The High Lama's core philosophy was moderation, nothing taken to extremes, even emotions. This philosophy permitted every aspect of life in Blue Moon Valley, giving its residents, regardless of their origins, a transcendent tranquility. Meanwhile, the High Lama had profound concerns about the outside world. He professed that an unprecedented catastrophe would soon descend and destroy humanity's accumulated civilization. Shangri was the ark for these precious civilization achievements, awaiting revealing after the disaster. Meanwhile, the four outside had different experience. Manlyson grew increasingly anxious, determined to find a way to live. Bernard discovered the valley's gold mine and began to feel satisfied staying. Miss Sprinkle threw herself into missionary planning, and Conway developed a musical friendship with a seemingly young Luo Zhen. Their duets of guqin and piano are one of the most moving images in the book. Manison also fell deeply in love in Luo Zhen and insisted to taking her away. Chapter 9, Climax. The Deathbed Revelation. Chapter 9 is the emotional climax of the entire novel. In the final audience, the High Lama revealed his true identity to Conway. He was the same father, Paresod, who had arrived in Blue Moon Valley. I remember a brand is called Blue Moon. Over 200 years ago, building Shangri-La from nothing over an comprehensively long span of years. He first announced that Conway would become Shangri-La's new leader. His talents, experience, and inner calm made him the only suitable successor. Having said that, the High Lama peacefully departed. Chapters 10 to 11, The Choice and Departure. Conway stood at a crossroads. He had clearly grasped Shangri-La's value and his own mission, and even deep ways yearned to remain. However, Manison gave him no time to set his thoughts. A passing caravan gave Manison his chance to leave, and he desperately pleaded with Conway to accompany him. Conway was deeply torn between loyalty and destiny. Finally, he chose to accompany Manison in leaving, perhaps a last emotional tie to the old world, or perhaps simply very companions. The group set out to arduous descent with the caravan. Yet, as they traveled further, a shocking scene unfolded. Luo Zhen began rapidly aging. Her skin winked, her eye dimming, her fingers stopping. Shangri-La's mystery power was only effective within the valley. Once departed, the suspended years rushed back at a terrifying pace. The seeming young Luo Zhen had actually lived in Blue Moon Valley for decades, a person of advanced age, far beyond her outward appearance. Epilogue. Searching for the lost Shangri-La. Conway was found in Chongqing, completely amnesiac, killed by a Chinese female doctor. As his memory slowly returned, he regained awareness of Shangri-La's existence and immediately escaped from the hospital. His whereabouts unknown. Redford and the narrative search for Conway but could never find him. The novel ends in open-ended suspense. Perhaps Conway truly found his way back to Shangri-La. Perhaps for him, Shangri-La was forever a lost horizon. You know, in Time Machine, that novel also leave an open ending. The author or the experience, the main character of the story try to brought a girl in the future world back to his time, but he failed and the girl was killed. And also that the time traveler later tried to travel back to times and then never came back. The narrator never know what happened to him. I find that such storytelling structure is pretty common in Western literatures. Well, maybe they have some favor for tragedy. I don't like tragedy. Character analysis. Conway is the most complex character in the entire world. He's a middle-aged diplomat who has experienced World War I, brilliant yet deeply weary of worldly ambition, fluent in Chinese, Tibetan, and multiple European languages, able to play various instruments, well-versed in Eastern and Western classics. He can detachment forms a sharp contrast with a young Minison. The speed with which Conway accepts Shangri-La is remarkable. This is not because he lacks judgment. Quite the opposite. It is precisely his profound experience that allows him to see through appearances and recognize the value of civilizational idea Shangri-La represents. His tragedy lies in choosing loyalty over mission as a crucial moment. Firstly, I feel that everyone may face such options at a certain point of life. Secondly, case by case. In this story, Conway chooses loyalty and it's a tragedy. But another person in another situation, maybe when they choose mission, it's a tragedy. We never know. Manisa is a typical young man, full of energy, impetuous, resentful of rules, eager to prove himself. His rejection of Shangri-La is instinctive. A young man's instinctive resistance to unknown constraints. His love for Luozhen is genuine, but this love inadvertently becomes the catalyst for tragedy. He does not know that the young woman he loves is actually a centenarian. Aaron Ballard. Ballard is an American businessman wanting to financial flaws. His acceptance of Shangri-La is entirely pragmatic. There's goals, safety, and no legal pursuit. Why leave? His cheerful pragmatism forms an interesting contrast with Minison's anxious urgency. Well, I guess that such a character also represents how British people think about American people traditionally. Brinklow is a missionary whose unique way of accepting Shangri-La's multiculturalism stands apart. He is not moved by its inclusivity, but seems untitled missionary soil. She ultimately remained in Shangri-La, the only one of the four whose decision is driven by mission rather than possessive acceptance. His presence suggests a potential tension between religious fervor and Shangri-La's philosophy of moderation. Zhang, of half Chinese, half Tibetan heritage with a Western education, served as an ideal interpreter between Shangri-La and outsiders, not just linguistically, but culturally. His elegant, patient, and never directly answer sensitive questions, fully embodying Shangri-La's philosophy of moderation. His very existence is an embodiment of the cultural hybridity idea. Luo Zhen. The seemingly young Luo Zhen is the most symbolical, significant character in the book. She's silent, subtle, and emotionally refined, forming with conveys a beautiful image of guqin and piano in harmony. Eastern and Western civilization peacefully meeting in the pursuit of artistic language. Yet her departure and rapid aging revealed a cruel truth. Utopia's protection is unconditional, and living means and the shattering of all illusions. The High Lama, Father Perui. The High Lama is the most mystery character in the entire novel. She's a Capuchin friar from Luxembourg who arrived in 1734 and lived to over 200 years under the valley's mystery protection. His very extensive process of philosophical question: when a person lives long enough, how do they view history, civilization, and human nature? The answer is his philosophy of moderation, neither excessive nor deficient, awaiting the right moment with ultimate patience. He chose Conway because he saw in this very diplomatic the same inner calm. Theme analysis. Theme 1, the tension between utopia and reality. Shangri-La is one of the most sophisticated utopian in Western literature. Unlike Thomas More's Utopia, Hilton's Shangri-La does not claim to be perfect. It is only a place that is good enough, a space where people can be framed from extreme emotions, that accepts imperfection, contradiction, and even outsiders from different backgrounds, as long as they adhere to the basic principle of moderation. Yet, utopian is inherently fragile. Rosen's rapid aging after leaving Shangri-La is most powerful literature presentation of the proposition that utopia collapses once it comes to interact with the external world. This resonates with Tao Yuanming's peace blossom spring. while the fisherman returns to seek the path but lost his way. Paradise has never been something can be taken away. If you can take it away, paradise would lost its magic. Thank you. Time, aging, and eternity. Blue Moon Valley's mystery power can slow aging, but cannot truly stop time. The relative eternity symbolizes humans' desire to resist time and the inevitable futility of this desire. What the High Lama accomplished with 200 years of life is no different in essence from what an Abbey library, museum, or universe does, preserving human wisdom and memory, awaiting civilization's rebuilding. True eternity lies not in the body's endurance, but in the transmission of spirit and culture. Theme 3, the meeting of East and West. Shangri-La is a culturally hybrid third place, neither a typical Tibetan Buddhism holy site, nor a Western monastery, but a synthesis and transcendence of both. Guqin and piano sounding together in the same place is the book's most moving character image. Not East replacing West, nor West domesticating East, but two completely different civilization traditions peacefully coexisting and listening to each other in a tranquil space. Hilton's Eastern characters possess what Western of his era typically perceived as Eastern qualities: emotionally subtle, rhetorically indirect, valuing moderation, indifferent to time. These portraits inevitably carry certain Orientalist overtones, but also reflects the sincere curiosity and deep respect of East culture of the 1930s Western intellectuals. Theme 4, War and its caption. Theme 5, the East-West renaissance of moderate philosophy. Reading reflection. Oh, it just directs me write several paragraphs from my reading reflection, but actually don't yeah. Oh, I don't remember. Have I read this book, 黑暗之心? I have no memory about this book. Did I forget something? Classical methodology analysis. Frame 1. The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell's hero's journey monomorphic framework from the hero with a thousand faces provide an excellent lens for analyzing Conway's experience. However, Conway's journey had fundamental incompleteness in his final step, which constitutes the novel's deepest tragedy. Okay. Ordinary words. call to adventure, crossing the threshold, tests allies, imposter cave, audience, the road back, resurrection, return with elixir. Always hero journey is an incomplete hero journey. He does not return to human world bearing the exile, for example, which is Shangri-La civilization guardian mission, but settled out again to find Shangri-La's, a reversed journey. This reverse hero's journey suggests for some people, the true homecoming is not returning to the ordinary world, but finding one's back to the highest mission that faces one's granted and that one personally relinquished. Frame 2. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The four outside response to Shangri-La's different levels of needs. Closing aligning with Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, revealing how profound one's circumstances shape one's value judgment. Bernard Mallinson, Conway, Cloud. This analysis reveals an intriguing pattern. Those focus on low-level needs, safety, philosophical, physiological, find it easiest to accept Shangri-La's reality. While those focus on higher needs such as belonging, self-actualization has most complex traditional attitude towards Shangri-La. Frame 3. East-West cultural analysis. Adho, great substitute. Using the East-West comparative dimension from culture anthropology, referring Histoff's cultural dimension theory, we can more clearly understand Shangri-La's unique cultural hybridity. What makes Shangri-La unique is that it does not try to choose between East and West, or forcefully reconcile them, but creates a third space where both can coexist and comprehend each other. This is most profound cultural experiment of it as a civilization utopia. I guess that, part of the reason that American developed so fast after World War II is that it somehow allows diversity coexist here. Some people want to live in this way, some people want to live in that way. They may disagree with each other, but they live in the same land. And that's something I think that very rare in human history. Some visual arts, visual charts, this is repeated. Character relationship. Or characters response comparison. theme interconnection analysis. Conclusion. Lost Horizon is undeniably a book of its times. In the war-shadowed moment of 1933, it offered humanity an imagination of civilizational guardianship, not to help people escape reality, but to preserve humanity's most precious cultural frames beyond reality, awaiting rebuilding after the storm. The word Shangri-La had retained its magic across nearly a century precisely, because it touched humanity's most universal desire, a place far from turmoil, where time flows slowly and all things coexist in harmony. This desire transcends cultures and eras. Regardless of the time, people will always reserve a place in their hearts for such a place. The High Lama's mission was guardianship, using one person's 200 years to wait out civilization catastrophe, then scattered the preserved human wisdom back to the world. The tragedy of this mission lies in the fact that his chosen successor, Conway, faced with a choice between density and loyalty, chose the latter. Yet the book's ending leaves us one final hope. Perhaps Conway truly found his way back. Shangri-La's ultimate mystery does not need a definitive answer. Like all great utopian literature, its greatest value lies not in telling us there is a perfect place out there, but in prompting us to ask, what does our own Shangri-La looks like? And for that Shangri-La, what are we willing to sacrifice and what are we willing to protect? Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty much for this book. And thank you, everyone. Bye.